Welcome to Hallelujah Monkeyz for July 3rd. My name is Dylan Flynn.
My name is Trevor Ickrath.
Trevor, the nation that we call home is having its birthday tomorrow.
It is, yeah. And so, how do you consider yourself to be a patriotic person?
No, but I can respect any holiday that's about telling your dad to fuck off. You know what I mean?
I guess. No, it would be a great way for a Gorillaz fan to celebrate 4th of July, though.
What's the move? What's the Gorillaz fan 4th of July move?
Well, I would probably just listen to The Fall. You know, that's the American album, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
There's some American as hell songs. You could sing along to The Parish of Space Dust.
You could probably put together a whole cool little Damon Albarn Visits America mixtape if you go like through Blur and stuff like that, because I know there's like a Song for America,
That's
Magic
true.
America.
Look Inside America.
Look Inside America, yeah.
That'd be fun. Watch some fireworks go off. Listen to some sardonic Brits talk about your home country.
Oh, we got a lot to talk about sardonic Brits this episode.
Yeah, we sure do. Do you want to just barrel forward into the news?
Yeah, let's talk about the news.
It's all good news now.
I just said that we're starting the news, but I'm going to say something that isn't strictly news if you uphold yourself to any journalistic standards, Trevor.
Right, so get your thumb already over the 15-second skip button.
This is like, let's talk about wild speculation rather than news. But Jamie Hewlett just followed Adult Swim on Instagram.
Wow.
Do you think that it's possible? Is this possibly a hint?
That's after our whole out of body thing, I don't want to get my hopes up.
I know, right? Yeah.
But
that would be a great home for a Gorillaz cartoon. All you want, it doesn't even matter if they end up on a network where they can say fucking shit or whatever, because they can always put the web versions up unbleeped. You just want to make sure that they find a home where the artist is king and they have creative control.
And wouldn't it be great for a Gorillaz animated series to wind up on Adult Swim, like 10 years, like 17 years after they got such
Toonami.
a good amount of promotion from Toonami? That'd be, yeah. I'd love to see things come full circle like that.
That's a very Campbellian end to that whole journey that they went on.
Hell yeah, hero's journey.
2D just found his way into another corporate promotion.
Love those Gorillaz commercials. This one was fun though. It was for Nike's Chelsea FC's new uniforms or something like that. I'm not really a sports guy.
It's so weird because it's like it starts off with 2D giving some kind of, I found a pair of keys, and it turned out that it was to the Chelsea Football Club locker room. Woo! He's like really excited about it.
Who's doing his voice acting again now, by the way? He sounds really weird.
I know. Kevin, I can't remember his last name.
He sounds so weird.
And it feels off brand to me. Like, would 2D give a shit about like meeting his favorite footballer?
Yes. No. British people fucking love football. Like, without exception. British people go like ape shit for this stuff. I wasn't surprised at all.
I don't know. It felt like a little. It felt too knuckleheady to me. And it's got this guy David Luiz, who I'm told is famous.
Famous footballer David Luiz.
But no, check this out. This is like, you want to talk about killing like multiple birds with single stones. This was a commercial for Nike, Chelsea Football Club, and Yokohama Tires. Like it was.
Yeah, it's a triple feature. This is kind of like the do you thing of Gorillaz corporate promotion.
I don't care because I understand that every time they do this, that's just more money in the bank to do awesome Gorillaz shit.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
It is just so funny how like every week I'm like, I don't know if there's going to be any news this week, and then invariably, oh no, this company did something.
We have a commercial to talk about.
The new G-Mixes went out.
That's cool. I haven't listened to any of them.
I don't know if I kind of skimmed and scanned. I mean, it was kind of the usual mix of like, Murdoch likes rock music and Noodle
Russell's Sound of Chicago mix does sound very intriguing. I'm going to have to give a listen to that one.
That was much cooler. So that's not on Spotify. That's on SoundCloud.
Okay.
That's a whole different thing. That's like when Noodle did her Badass Women mix on SoundCloud. It's like the same thing. There's Remy Kabaka does voice acting on this
Very
mix.
cool. Russell doesn't get enough love.
I agree, and it's all Chicago artists, which makes me speculate maybe Twilight Tone had something to do with the sequencing of that mix. That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all. And then the only other thing I think worth mentioning there is 2D included sleeping powder on his own mix, which I know you were kind of tickled by.
It's a little gauche. It's very funny.
You texted me when it came out, and you were like, I think he's proud of it.
That's what I think. I think that 2D is proud of his little song that he made, and he wants to make sure that it's one of his favorite songs right now. That's what I think.
And this week we also got more new music technically from the Gorillaz camp, right?
Yeah, this is like,
Kind of?
This could be on like H-Side's disc 2.
Maybe, yeah, something like that.
So you remember when Eon, the renewable energy supergiant, announced their partnership and announced that there would be a solar Kong Studios that's like built inside of a Winnebago.
Yeah, and we were speculating that we might get like the solar powered sequel to The Fall.
Maybe, and so it was there. It was at Margate. You could, for a small portion of the day, you could like line up and do a little tour of it. And then at one point, the doors shut and 3 artists went inside to legitimately use it as a recording studio while Demon Days Festival was happening.
And who were those 3 artists?
Big names, Trevor. there's a lady named Lao Ra.
And she did vocals.
And then there's Loli.
Who provided some beats.
And then there's Throwing Shade.
With some drums. I don't know how those are, I guess.
Beats and drums.
You need the drums and the beats?
Right, yeah. I don't know.
Throwing Shade is a great artist name, though, by the way.
It is, for sure.
Yeah.
And the song is called Frequency No Dormir.
Mm-hmm.
It was mixed by Steve Sedgwick at Studio 13, so that goes a long way towards making it, a piece of official Gorillaz paraphernalia.
Yeah, and like you said, it was actually recorded in that shitty little trailer at Margate during the Demon Days Festival.
Did you listen to the tune? Did you listen to
I did. You know what? I thought it was pretty cool. It kind of reminded me of some like Balearic beat stuff that you might have heard probably like, Chillwave was kind of big, like from like JJ or something like that. It's pretty cool though. It's a real summer jam. I could definitely see returning to this one.
Yeah, it's got like an EDM flavored Latin pop thing that's like very catchy.
Do we want to play a second of that?
Yeah, let's throw a little bit of that up on the episode.
But you know what's good, te pongo en el mood. No me importa, no doy mi paso derecho. Is the frequency resonates? Only gets to my heart.
That's a good hook. That's a good hook in my opinion.
I like it a lot. Yeah, it's very bouncy.
And the song being what it is, I mean, it was kind of funny, like reading SoundCloud comments on it, mostly love, and then a couple of like, this sucks, where's Damon? And then, but what's even better, Trevor, than the naysayers are the weird musical white knights, the people who step up to defend the honor of what they see as a track that's being needlessly disparaged. So like I said, there was like 2 people who were saying, I don't like this. And then somebody else posted, I love this, somebody else posted, God, people are so negative. I actually really like this, unlike everyone else on the planet.
I think there's also like a naturally occurring law of the universe where if you click on any web hosting of a Gorillaz song, there will like, without a doubt, 100% be somebody there saying that there's not enough Damon Albarn.
Oh yeah, of course, absolutely. Like if he did a Bobby McFerrin album that was just a Damon a cappella album, they would still be there saying that. I don't know. What I'm more interested to know is, does this end now, or does Solar Kong make an appearance whenever Gorillaz are headlining a festival? Is that how it's going to work?
I don't know. That's a good question. Wouldn't it be cool if they set one of these up at like every one of their shows on the tour?
That'd be awesome. I mean, it's coming soon. The North American Humans Tour kicks off in 3 days.
3 days? That's sick.
Starts with Quebec and then it goes to Chicago. So I mean, it's happening, man. This thing is happening.
I can't wait for us to see him in October.
But it would be cool. It'd be cool if even if it's just festival dates, if a few lower tier, like localer artists got to go make a track in that thing and you had like a little EP at the end of all of it,
Yeah, why not? That'd be pretty cool.
I'm all for it. I think there might be, if you go to Eon's Facebook page, there was at one point, but there might still be, you can watch like a little live stream of those artists making that song in real time in the studio, which is kind of cool.
Any more news to talk about, or did you had one more thing you wanted to bring up, right?
Yeah, okay. This is awkward a little bit, Trevor. I think I can speak for both of us. We love making this show, and we, no matter what, are going to continue to make this show.
Oh, it's like the highlight of my week.
It definitely takes some time and effort. Like I did the math. It's probably between 10 and 20 hours of our week goes into the research and note creating and post-production and recording and social media, wrangling.
Yeah, your Sundays are basically like gone, right?
More or less, and that's fine.
You basically have a part-time job that requires you to work a very long shift every Sunday.
And that's fine. Yeah, I like doing it. I'll continue to do it as a volunteer.
It's a labor of love.
I never need to profit off of the show ever. But lately I've been a little bit, not irritated. I don't know what the word is. A little bit discouraged by the fact that I have to keep dumping money into the show to pay for our hosting. If I could tap into you guys for anything, it would be to maybe alleviate some of that burden so that I don't have to feel like, every month I'm looking at my credit card statement and going like, oh, that thing that I've already been spending so much time on is costing me all this money. So we decided we put up a Patreon. It's very bare bones. It's just patreon.com/hallelujahmonkeyz with a Z. We don't have any kind of goals up yet. Maybe in the future we'll have some kind of Patreon content or something. We're not even setting a goal. My feeling is if we make 10 cents this month, that's 10 cents I don't have to spend on our hosting. So don't feel guilty if you can't give anything. Don't worry about it at all. It's really not anything I expect from any of you. But if you feel like you want to throw in a few pennies here or there to go towards our hosting, that would be totally awesome. Just go to patreon.com/hallelujahmonkeyz. Maybe down the road we'll do something fun with it, but for now it's just a little collection hat that gets passed around like at the end of a really shitty basement show.
We are kind of we're kind of the DIY scene of the Gorillaz fandom, aren't we?
Yeah. Oh, I saw this one guy. He just sang and played a theremin.
I've definitely been to a couple shows like that.
That's us. We're that guy.
So yeah, that'd be cool if anybody could help out. But if not, just continue enjoying the content free of charge.
We'll keep making it. I'm not going broke paying for the hosting for this show, so don't worry about it. If we don't raise a thin red cent, Hallelujah Monkeyz is in no danger of dying. Don't worry about it.
So now that that's over, you want to take a seat at the round table and talk about these DVDs we're going to be discussing this week?
Yeah, let's review some DVDs, Trevor.
All right, here we go.
This is how multiple personality disorders start, gentlemen. I'm gonna stuff you full of pills now.
そろそろお薬のお時間です。
So, Dylan, do you happen to know what my second favorite Daft Punk album is?
I don't know. Let me try to make an educated guess. I think it's probably Random Access Memories.
No, it's actually homework. But do you know what my absolute least favorite thing to do for my Gorillaz podcast is?
I'm gonna guess homework.
Also homework. And I think this is the episode that has required the most staggering amount of homework so far.
Good Lord.
Because I don't know if any of our listeners have stayed up till 1 a.m. watching people click through DVD menus on YouTube.
Good Lord.
It's absolutely thrilling.
I mean, here's the thing. I own both. Let me get it out of the way. We're doing 2 DVDs today. We're reviewing their content. That is Phase 1, Celebrity Takedown, which was released in November of 2002.
And Phase 2, Slowboat to Hades, which was released
October of 2006.
Thank you.
No problem. And I want to say right away, thank you to YouTube user Murdoch the Knob. I own physical copies of both of these, but they are in a storage unit, and I was not about to make my dad go dig through storage in the June heat to mail me my copies of these fucking Gorillaz DVDs. So
yeah, mine are on the other side of the country, along with my copy of Rise of the Ogre. So yeah.
But we were so fortunate to have easy access to all this stuff on YouTube. Or were we? This was rough, Trevor.
It was. I wasn't sure if I was ever looking at the best hosting of these things. I didn't know if somebody was missing something. I swear to God, there was more content on these DVDs than I remember seeing this weekend.
And yet, even though they seem thin, they're also interminable.
Oh my God.
Let me start out by saying this. 2002 was a very different time.
Seriously, I can't believe bands used to put out DVDs.
I know. I owned several DVDs that were just collections of music videos back in the day.
The music industry is so different now.
And that's the thing with a band like Gorillaz, sure, you could go onto Gorillaz.com and watch the videos, but you'd be watching them in QuickTime or Real Player. They'd be so low bit rate, even if you clicked the high quality version. So
it was no way to live.
Having them in DVD quality on it was enough for the sale price. And the fact that they were these elaborate interactive tours of Kong Studios was icing on a cake. But nowadays it feels a lot, going through these DVDs feels a lot like climbing Mount Everest to read your email.
Or kind of crawling through a big tunnel of people's legs and they're just spanking you the entire time.
Right. And it's because
some kind of unfavorable gauntlet.
But it's the idea, it's it's work versus reward, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's very lovingly curated. Like, a lot of work went into these DVDs for sure. But I mean,
and there were some real gems to excavate here too.
That's true. Absolutely, that's true. But it's just kind of like, good God. I mean, one thing is that the DVD format in general is no way to experience any kind of interactive real-time game.
Another thing that made this really hard to watch on YouTube, or even just research in general, is there are little Easter eggs in the Phase 1 DVD that only happen if you leave it dormant for like a good minute.
Namely, in Celebrity Takedown, if you wait long enough in any room, you kind of die in that room.
Yeah, like they kick you out, and they kill you. And it just, like a good chunk of this was just staring at the same scene, waiting for one of these to happen.
I know. Oh my God. Okay.
Waiting for the world to start again.
Anyway, okay. Well, let's just get into we got to get through them. So
let's talk about it. So you wanna start with Phase 1, Celebrity Takedown?
Yeah. Can we talk about the little intro that plays at the beginning of it?
Yeah. We get a little bit of some spooky music with some cool little. Maybe a little rudimentary CGI helicopters flying over a spooky landscape towards Kong Studios while was that Dawn of the Dead dialogue or something plays in the background?
It might be from Dawn of the Dead. I kind of like that music, though. I mean, it's simple, but I wonder, do you think that it's possible that would date back to like a self-titled session or something like that?
Maybe, yeah. Was it a Damon Albarn composition? Who knows? It also sounds like it could have just been sampled from some kind of horror movie soundtrack.
Definitely also could have been. My headcanon is that is the El Mañana helicopter.
Right? It all goes right back to the beginning. I also had that thought.
And then it dumps you into the lobby, where the only detail I'd like to point out in that is that it's got like a little red LED ticker in the lobby kiosk, and it just says, "Could Greg please report to reception? No problem. No problem." And then it goes on a loop.
Do you think he ever did?
I don't know, but who the fuck is Greg? Because I dug deep into all of the lore resources that I had, and I could not figure out who the fuck Greg was. I don't think it's Dr. Wurzel, who we'll be talking about soon.
God, fucking Dr. Wurzel. Great unsolved mysteries of the Gorillaz canon. If you happen to know who Greg is, tweet at us.
Because there's several references to Greg on this DVD. I do love Groove Bones, though. I love his little jumping pose and his big skeletal smile. I love Groove Bones, a great, iconic Jamie Hewlett drawing.
And the jukebox is kind of like interactable, right? That's how you can view the music videos?
Yeah, because they understand that you're mostly buying this DVD to watch the Gorillaz music videos, so you can just watch them all from here, and they're also kind of scattered throughout the different band member rooms.
Yeah, so you can just flip through them real quick if you don't want to go on this whole adventure through the band studio.
Now, in lieu of the fact, so here's the thing. Phase 1 Kong Studios was a fucking masterpiece. Gorillaz.com, Phase 1 Kong Studios, and I think Phase 2 was also, but I mean, just especially for being so ahead of the curve, for it being 2002, and what the equivalent band website looked like at that time. Gorillaz was just so far ahead of the curve.
And it really is such an investment in this project. Like, it would have been so easy for Damon and Jamie to just make an album with some little videos, but they really went above and beyond here and, like, giving the fans a kind of own fictional universe to explore. There's so much lore here.
I would say that the two great masterworks of Jamie Hewlett in the Gorillaz project are the Plastic Beach model and the Phase 1 Kong Studios website. Like, I think that both of those are such wonderfully realized visions. And the fact that they're not sufficiently archived anywhere kind of leaves you with Celebrity Takedown as the next best thing. And it's a far shot, unfortunately. It's not nearly as fun to explore as that website was.
But there is still plenty of cool stuff to look at here. So you want to start taking a tour of the rooms and talk about what's in each one of those?
Okay, let's go to Noodle's room first, because that was the first one.
First stop, Noodle's room, kind of about what you'd expect. Do you have a description of it ready to go? Because, like,
kind of, it's like it's got a very open floor plan. It's like both cluttery and kind of positive feng shui. It's got a moose's head mounted on the wall. Do you think that's the moose from the 2000 video?
I think it's a little kind of too small, right? That one was like the size of like the World Trade Center.
Yeah, that's a good point.
The details that go into each member's rooms are just so perfect and in character. It really does show a great, like, devotion on Jamie's part to really nailing down who each of these band members are.
Each room has a music video and a Gorillaz bite, but we're going to talk about those after we get through the room. We're just going to do them
right.
all
And along with the music videos, it usually has like an animatic for the video, as well as I don't know how to describe the other thing. Was it like almost like kind of like a CGI model test?
Yeah, the way that the DVD calls them is it calls what we would call an animatic a storyboard, and it calls the weird CGI test an animatic. But I don't know if that's
gotcha.
technically true. But yeah, it kind of does like a rough edit of the digital artwork and then like also the storyboard. So they paired videos and Gorillaz bites to band member rooms, right, Trevor?
Yes.
For the most part, I think the Gorillaz bites are really well paired. Like each one makes sense, you know? Like, for example, we're in Noodle's room right now, so Game of Death is the Gorillaz bite that plays. It's very Noodle focused.
Very Noodle centric, yeah. But you thought the music videos were a little kind of weirdly paired off, right?
I don't know about that because Tomorrow Comes Today is in Noodle's room, which I mean that's got to be 2Ds.
Yeah, and considering Noodle, we should just say now 192000 is in 2D's room, right?
Yeah, 192000 is in 2D's room, which he doesn't hardly do anything in that video. Versus Noodle
who sings the chorus. Yeah,
the chorus of 192000. I mean, I don't know. That's weird. And there's already a moose in a room. I don't know.
192000 does have like kind of upbeat, kind of little synth shitty sound that 2D would love to experiment with, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But no, I would definitely say that one does belong more in Noodle's room.
I wonder if it's just because they wanted the room order to match release order, but still, I think they should have paired it better. I do love Noodle's room. It looks fantastic.
Yes.
Okay, so then let's describe what happens when you wait in Noodle's room too long. So you see a static, and then the face, the haunting visage of Dr. Wurzel appears in the static, and then a hand grabs at your face. I think it's supposed to be a zombie hand, but it looks just like Jamie pointed a video camera at their own hand and kind of swiped at it. It looks very corny. It
reminded me of the Floor Masters from Legend of Zelda, like those things that would kind of descend from the floor and toss you out of the dungeon.
But you see, there are a lot of hands that grab at you in other dust scenes, but they're always animated. This one is like, this one looks like high school homemade horror movie style. You know what I mean?
Spent all the budget on those G-Bites.
Let's talk about Murdoch Winnebago.
Okay, that's probably my favorite. Well, maybe not my absolute favorite, but this is definitely a highlight of the Kong Studios landscape for sure.
Well, I loved Murdoch Winnebago on Gorillaz.com. I just don't like how kind of narrow the shot is on the DVD. Like, you just kind of...
It would be nice if we could see more of it, yeah.
You're just kind of looking down on his bed. And, like, you do get a good little pan of it when they do, like, an animation of you walking into the Winnebago, Mm-hmm. And you get to see, like, his stash of booze, and you get to see his big cardboard standee of Pazuzu, and I wish that they'd given us a better view. I don't know.
Right, but there's some cool stuff to look at here. For example, we have like pretty much every big major piece of art from the phase, I think.
That was impressive, yeah. So like you can click on Murdoch's laptop and scan through a bunch of Phase 1 artwork, and there's some really cool ones in there. I think my favorite piece is probably that one from the Tomorrow Comes Today single insert, where it's like, it's very Drew Struzan Star Wars poster influence, where you've got like a caped Murdoch who's very big, and then like a composite of the other band members kind of placed within him. Yeah,
with the crow on his arm. That one is cool. But in here we've got the Clint Eastwood music video and associated storyboards and animatics. The only thing I want to point out here is I think I was on the storyboard. There was just in little parentheses on one board, it says limited animation, which would kind of become the creed for Gorillaz maybe 2 phases later.
But could you imagine Trevor being like, I want to look at some Gorillaz art. I'll put in this DVD into my DVD player. Like, thank God we live in the present and not in the past. The Gorillaz bite here is the eel. That, of course, is a good Murdoch feature, so that makes good sense.
My favorite one, probably.
This is my favorite death sequence. If you wait long enough in the Winnebago, it fills up with a mysterious green slime, and you drown in it, which is kind of cool.
I don't even want to think about what that is in context of Murdoch.
Yeah, I don't know.
But then we go into 2D's room, which is my favorite. I love all the keyboards on the walls.
Yeah, so cool. He's got synthesizers all over the walls. He's got that shrine to the Dalai Lama, like his...
Right, and his G-Bite is also Free Tibet, which is kind of the most minimalist one. It's just kind of 2D sitting in a little protest with some monks chanting in the background.
Yeah, I looked on that shrine, Trevor, to see if I could find a picture of a monk with a giant bell above him, but I could not.
That wouldn't come till later, I guess.
Here's one thing I noticed, though. In the bottom right, there's a full ashtray. What I'm 85% sure is a lamp, and then what I'm 40% sure might be a Polaroid of controversial Gorillaz tertiary figure, Paula Cracker.
Interesting. I missed that. I didn't know she was hidden over here.
Might be a Polaroid of Paula Cracker.
Might be a little Polaroid of Paula Cracker.
It rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
Might be a little Polaroid of Paula Cracker.
Peter Piper picked a Polaroid of Paula Cracker. And then you got a video of 192000 animatics. There's that weird little on the set of 192000 video, though.
Which makes 2D look like a total douchebag.
Yeah, he's talking about a Chinese action movie director he likes named John Poo. Is that right? Is that what he's doing?
Who I assume is John Woo, the guy who always throws a bunch of birds into his gunfights, right?
Yeah, and one shot Chow Yun-fat jumping out of a window with a naked baby who was peeing on him as he shot people in the house that he was jumping out of. But then Murdoch's Winnebago zooms by, and whoever's driving it chucks a beer can at Murdoch Nichols' head. Who's
completely unfazed.
Yeah, he barely notices. But this sets up, Trevor, a running theme of this DVD, which is the storied Find Murdoch's Winnebago campaign.
Which is incredibly compelling.
It was a phase 1, I don't want to say contest, because there was certainly no prize associated with it.
And I doubt many people were competing.
Okay, so here's what... You remember I mentioned Dr. Wurzel earlier? The mysterious Dr. Wurzel?
Let's talk about this guy, right? Because I feel like I have a very, very slim grasp on who this character is.
I think that the in-universe description is... not much is known about Dr. Wurzel, other than that he is a doctor and he is a Wurzel.
So he is a real doctor, at least.
Yeah, that's true. And he, at the time, had a tie-in GeoCities page, which is still archived. I sent it to you, Trevor.
I saw that, yeah.
It was kind of cool for its time. This is right around the time that 2000, the single came out, okay?
Okay.
But you could go to that page and listen to Ghost Train from that page as a .asf file. What's a .asf?
I don't know. What connection does Dr. Wurzel have to Ghost Train?
Well, he stole a bunch of shit. He stole the Winnebago and he found demo tapes. That's the theory.
Okay, and Ghost Train is technically, canonically, I think the first track Gorillaz demoed, right?
And he even says this is the first Gorillaz song and it's going to be a B-side in the upcoming single Rock the House. He says on the webpage. But then you keep scrolling down, Trevor, there's a few images, and then is the real meat of the whole endeavor, which is that Gorillaz were like, help find Murdoch's Winnebago. And basically they gave you the asset, which was Murdoch's Winnebago with a transparency layer behind it, and just said,
Murdoch's Winnebago.png.
Yeah, exactly. And just said, like, Photoshop this shit onto other shit. Very advanced, very futuristic.
Is that how it wound up on Mars?
Digital jazz. Yeah, maybe it is. So basically, you just have a gallery of like 6 pages of images of the Winnebago in different contexts. Here are 3 notable ones that I wanted to mention. It was spotted orbiting the Death Star.
Good.
You could even see it enjoying a newspaper comic with Calvin and Hobbes.
Good.
And it was even shown parked on top of Pam Anderson's butt.
Okay.
Is this compelling? Was that compelling?
Let's go to Russell's room.
Well, first, let's die. If you hang out in 2D's room long enough, so the big Dalai Lama shrine, like, turns around like a false bookcase, in a supervillain or superhero's lair.
Yeah.
And there's a nude Dr. Wurzel playing a pipe organ, and he, like, laughs creepily, plays the organ, and then a bunch of zombie hands rip you up or whatever.
Why is this in 2D's room? Like, why all the Dr. Wurzel stuff here?
I don't know. Wouldn't it make more sense if it was in the Winnebago?
Right?
You know what? Ours is not to question zombie flesh eaters.
I guess not. But yeah, Russell's room, you get all the Rock the House stuff in there.
Yeah, I'm not cool enough to know who that picture is of the bald guy on the wall. Do you know who that is?
No, I think it was in like the YouTube comments in one of the videos I watched. I probably should have jotted that down.
I don't know. I'm not cool enough. I'm sure it was a great reference. Sorry, everybody.
If you know who that is, tweet at us.
I do love that there's a giant Dagwood sandwich with a PlayStation 1 in it. That's a nice touch.
Very good.
Kind of a boring room. I don't know.
It does have the jump the gut G-Byte, which is fun.
And a good feature for Russell, so that makes sense.
Who does Dell's voice in that?
Maybe the worst Del the Funky Homo Sapien impressionist of all time?
Possibly.
Whoa, he's coming in way overweight. Like, what are you doing?
He's been texting catering all day.
He sounds like Mr. T. Okay. Oh, if you hang out, 2 hands push on a metal door, and then it flies off and hits you in the head, and you die. Let's talk about the cinema.
Right, here's where you can watch the Live at the Brits performance.
The thing that's in the middle feature is the big thing, but it's sandwiched by a live version of Clint Eastwood with the fancy CGI band members and Phi Life Cypher doing the rap, right?
Which is probably still my favorite televised Gorillaz performance.
It's really good. And then
it's really good. The characters all look great. They're doing cool stuff. I love that version they put together. That's a combination of actual live footage and the CGI, just straight to it.
And then what's the third video, Trevor? What's the third video?
Is it the other Clint Eastwood live performance?
It's the other live performance of the same fucking song. So almost identical. So close to being an identical performance that I even had to jump back and forth just to make sure that they were different.
Well, the difference mainly is that it has a Mandarin Chinese rap, right?
Yes, that's the main difference.
But in the middle there, Charts of Darkness.
Okay, let me just say something to you, Trevor. Charts of Darkness is a 22-minute mockumentary about Gorillaz.
Right.
I watched it last night.
I watched it immediately preceding this recording.
It was very late when I watched it.
Okay.
And I believe that watching this documentary and taking notes about this documentary was the nadir of my hallelujahmonkeyz experience.
Really?
I think it was the least fun I've ever had making this show.
I loved this.
I had a horrible time with this. Trevor, I had such a bad time with them.
You don't like Charts of Darkness?
No, and I did. I used to love it. I mean, I remembered enough of the parts that I'm sure I watched this a dozen times.
See, I'm completely on the opposite side. I forgot this existed, and I had no idea. When I went into it this time, I thought it was just going to be a bunch of dry talking about oh yes, an animated band to combat the manufactured pop stars. The narrative that we've been told again and again.
No, it's a totally different narrative. It's a side lore. It's a lore that is not the band's lore.
This probably isn't going to be super compelling for somebody who's a fan of Gorillaz, the animated band, but if you are a fan of Damon Albarn and Jamie Hewlett, you are in for a very good time, I think.
The only thing I like about it is that it posits this alternate, universe lore for the band of 2 men who have lost their mind.
It's so good. I love this. I can't believe you don't like it. What don't you like about it?
Okay, first of all, the endless cutaways to Gorillaz videos. This is a 22-minute documentary with maybe 12 minutes of documentary in it. They certainly did not break their fucking backs making this thing because they're just they're cutting to a needle drop of Clint Eastwood. Oh, it's still going. Oh, it's still going.
That didn't bother me that much. They don't last that long.
That's okay. You're allowed to be fucking wrong because it's the worst. Anyway, okay, let me talk about other things that I'm not crazy about with this. So,
okay, because after you do this, I'm going to go through a list of things I adored here. So feel free to get the hate out.
Okay, so it was hosted by a British news presenter named Krishnan Guru Murthy. He's a Channel 4 news presenter, and he's most famous, Trevor, for needling the shit out of Robert Downey Jr. in an interview until he stormed out, which became a big viral hit when it happened.
Go look that up on YouTube.
Yeah, and that's kind of his thing. His thing is he's a sniveling little. He wants your clicks, so he's gonna try to fucking Diane Sawyer his way into getting your clicks. And I don't like him in this. I don't buy him as I'm a real newscaster slumming it doing a little sketch. I don't like him at all.
Okay.
He irritates me.
Okay.
This is serving 2 masters. It's kind of trying to actually give you some background on Gorillaz and spin a yarn about 2 men who've gone insane and believe that cartoon characters are out to get them. And some of the in-character stuff is fun. There's a detective who's played quite deliciously by Phil Cornwell, who's Murdoch Nichols' voice actor.
And the Murdoch accent does come out of him too, which is great.
The fake therapist character just annoyed the shit out of me. I don't like him. And then also they dragged the editor of some fashion magazine called Dazed and Confused into trying to do a little sketch with them. And boy, he could not look less comfortable. He could not.
I loved that. Oh,
yeah, I don't know. I think the main thing is just that this felt so long to me. Like, because of all the cutaways, because of the wink, wink, nudge, nudge of it all, I was just like, all right, guys, make it 11 minutes. Don't make it 24 minutes.
So some things I really liked here. One, these several cutaways to this Jamian character.
Okay, what the fuck? There's 2 of them. There's only 2 cutaways.
But they are great moments nonetheless. I think in the beginning they say that before they came up with the idea for a virtual band, they had come up with a character that was supposed to be the darkest elements of their personalities merged into one, and it would be this character called Jamian. And they cut away to, I don't know who this is, but some kind of figure almost kind of made up to be almost like a Victorian creepy dude. And he just goes, "I'm bleeding." And then they immediately cut away again.
It looks like something that you might see in like a Andrew Lloyd Webber stage musical, like some kind of a monster.
That's a very good description. And then again, when they're seeing the therapist, he brings it up again, and they cut to the Jamian character once more, and he says, "I can smell them."
Yeah, I don't know. It didn't do anything for me. But you know who first brings it up is Tony Wadsworth of EMI,
right,
who signed Gorillaz, and by the way, who now is Sir Tony Wadsworth.
Good for him.
In addition to signing Gorillaz, Trevor, he also signed Blur and, gasp, Radiohead. So he very much has earned his Sir, in my opinion.
He's an influential figure on alternative music, I guess.
Sure
Something
is.
else I really liked was when they were asking Damon and Jamie who the biggest influences in the band are. Terry Hall from The Specials pops up in the middle of the screen. He goes, "I am the biggest influence on Gorillaz," and then he just disappears. And they put a little tag under his under him, and it says, "Terry, don't call me Scarface, Hall."
That was the best laugh I had on the whole doc for sure.
Just everything like Jamie brings to this performance as well is so good. There's the smearing the burgers on the wall.
What about, I think the corniest part of, let's just talk briefly about Jamie Hewlett and Damon Albarn actors, because they're pushed to their limits as performance artists on this documentary. I think the single corniest moment in the whole thing for me, Trevor, is when you hear a tape of them explaining that they're in danger because this animated band is out for them, and Damon, with fear in his voice, goes, "They've just sent us this tape in the post. It's called The Gorillaz Bite." So corny.
What else do I like here, though? I like when the therapist says, like, "I think you play behind screens because you don't want people to see what a monster you have become."
That leads to one of the most interesting things that Damon actually says in the doc, which is that they're not playing behind screens, they're playing behind characters, which I think
was very profound.
That's a nice way of looking at it. But what about when the therapist starts farting for no reason, Trevor? Any thoughts on that? Any thoughts?
Well, I think I also really enjoyed when they were actually listing the influences on the Gorillaz cartoon characters. And Jamie gives a little list that is Keith Richards, a baddie from Scooby-Doo, couple stormtroopers, Peter Fowl, Brian Hardy, Matthew Kelly, and Darth Vader.
What about, so there's one shot when Damon and Jamie have gone fully insane of them being wheeled down a creepy hospital on a gurney.
Yeah.
And Damon does his insane laugh.
No, I just said, isn't that Jamie?
No. The big loud one is definitely Damon. I replayed it several times to make sure.
It sounds like the De La Soul laugh.
Dude, it sounds so much like Maceo's Feel Good Inc. laugh.
It is exactly the same.
Do you think that he might have coached him? Might have coached Maceo to do what Damon considers to be like a crazy laugh?
You think they just showed him this clip from Charts of Darkness over and over again?
No, I don't. Hey, De La Soul, can you come in here real quick? You know what my single favorite part of the whole documentary is, actually, Trevor?
Tell me, because then I'm going to tell you mine.
It's at the end, the interview with the Watkins brothers, the guys who actually helped design Kong Studios' website.
Right.
Where that little candid moment where Matt Watkins goes, "I'm the webmaster," and then he just starts laughing really hard. He goes, "I hate that term." That's my favorite part.
My favorite part is that incredible shot of Damon and Jamie in the Jeep at the end,
Oh, yeah, where they're hanging out in the Jeep.
Posed exactly like 2D and Murdoch. I think it's like a real moment. Like, it's really cool. Like, I love that kind of shit.
Perhaps it's only been equaled in recent memory when Damon threw on the mocap to dance around as 2D for the Sleeping Powder video.
Have we confirmed that?
Yes, he said it in a I believe, a Portuguese magazine.
Wonderful.
Yep.
Wonderful.
That's Damon's dad dancing all over that video.
Boy.
Oh, also, I love the shot of the gongs when he uses the little gongs that we saw in the Let's Get Dirty session.
The cymbal clap, right? At the end of the love that.
He got the cymbals into the documentary that Dan the Automator wouldn't let him use in that song.
Way to go.
I also like Damon's quote, I find delivery of misinformation to be as valid as delivery of information.
That's like straight up some Banksy shit or something.
Yeah, for sure, isn't it?
Yeah.
Also, I liked the prescient quote, it remains to be seen whether Jamie and Damon will be able to resist returning to the spotlight in the future.
3 phases later, we know how that worked out.
No, they like it. They enjoy that spotlight.
Yeah.
That was a rough sit, though, man. That was hard to get through.
I really enjoyed it. I'm probably I would definitely recommend anybody who's a fan of Gorillaz, and especially if you're a fan of the Damon and Jamie side of the project, to go out and watch it.
Maybe I'll give it another shot when I'm like a little bit more refreshed and in a better mood. Maybe I was just not in the right mood to go along with it.
I can see this, if this was like the last piece of research you did for this podcast, I could seriously see why you would have been worn down.
And then if you hang out in the cinema long enough, some zombie hands pop out of those posters, and then you get grabbed by more zombie hands.
Hooray.
Let's do the bathrooms. Yeah,
I could use the toilet real quick. In here we've got the Kid Robot toys, and which links to the Hey, Our Toys Have Arrived.
Hey, Our Toys Have Arrived.
G-Byte.
There's a prominent graffito. Is that the singular graffiti?
I think so.
That reads Greg on the wall. More Greg. What does it all mean?
What does it all mean? And the only thing really of interest here, though, is the 5/4 animatic for the Abandoned music video.
Yes, of extreme interest, which I think we'll probably talk about in more detail on a future, B-side videos episode. But I do just want to say that earlier in the Hallelujah Monkeyz Discord, the greatest place on the internet, somebody said, why didn't they put the one gorilla bite with a Nazi swastika on this DVD, but Murdoch's dick was totally fine to show uncensored? The answer, Trevor, of course, is that it's because penises are beautiful and natural.
Yeah, of course.
And swastikas are not.
Especially Murdoch's.
Especially Murdoch's.
Do you think the 5/4 animatic is in the toilets because it's kind of shit that they wanted to flush away?
It's not a good video. It would not have been a good video. There's actually a really well done fan version of this where like an independent Gorillaz fan on YouTube animated it, so you get to kind of see what it might have looked like in motion in its full glory. There wasn't a lot to it, though. Jamie was thinking very small.
Just thank God 5/4 wasn't a single.
Ugh, no kidding.
So the only thing left to do is go through the server room, take a spin on the Kong Studios computers.
Yeah, so the desktop image, Trevor, is the Eye from HAL 9000 from 2001, but the computer is not HAL 9000, it is Mel 9000.
So no threat of being pushed out of an airlock?
No. So you can, from here you can access the screensavers. And then there's a video here, Trevor, written by Cass Brown, a computer narrated, a Mel 9000 narrated tour of Kong Studios. I think I linked it to you earlier today. I don't know if you had a chance to watch it.
I didn't watch that.
It is 11 minutes long. Yep. Jesus Christ. Mel 9000's text-to-speech voice is a little bit grating.
Over 11 minutes? Really?
Yeah, it doesn't exactly hold up, but I gotta tell you, I was fine with it because it was just so cool to see that much of the website in motion again.
Yeah.
The writing was so-so. It mostly is kind of like one joke over and over again, which is that Mel 9000 hates everything, complains about everything. But I just had some little nostalgia surges. I loved seeing the Chat-O-Matic in action.
Yeah, that fucking takes me back.
There's one shot of the Phase 1 official message board, Trevor, which made me go look to see if there was a Wayback Machine archived page of the Phase 1 official message board. There is one archive page, and a prominent thread on it is a Gorillaz fan mourning the passing of George Harrison.
My sweet lord.
The definite highlight of that whole tour, though, is, do you remember in 2D's room, there's an action figure who hits himself in the face with his big purple penis? He's got blonde hair.
Now I do.
And Bell 9000 loves it. He keeps clicking and he goes, that really is rather good. Again. That's the best part. Oh, and then if you wanted a little bit of closure, he mentions that Murdoch's Winnebago was stolen, and then he goes, eventually, it was found in America last June. The end!
I was in suspense the entire time. What else is in here? We've got some live visuals, right? There's something for 5.4, which is kind of like a Swagga precursor, where you see the kind of...
Yeah, and same for M1A1.
Yep.
But then, kind of, I guess the centerpiece is that if you click on this little vent, you kind of tumble through it. You walk through a freezer where a bunch of frozen corpses of classic Phase 1 Kong Studios characters can be seen, such as, you should Google them, Beatbox Bandit or Cafe Cat, some classic Hewlett characters.
Really developed as well.
Yeah, so deep lore. And then a hatch opens, and you see a rocket take off. I'm assuming you get burned to a crisp by the jet engines that spray flames in your face.
But even in death, you get to enjoy this the Space Monkeyz take on M1A1, Lil Dub Cheffin.
Which is a great track. I do love this track.
I like it better than M1A1, my least favorite Gorillaz song.
I know you're not into M1A1, but I love M1A1 and I love Lil Dub Cheffin. I love them both.
Who does those vocals?
You know what? I know that Terry Hall does some guest vocals on at least a few songs on Like I Come Home, but I didn't do research, so we'll have to look into that when we get to that album.
Don't call me Scarface.
I won't call him, but he is the biggest influence, musically on the band.
Lil Dub Cheffin takes us into the credits.
Yeah, I don't know. Nothing too notable. All the people you expected worked on it. Zombie Flesh Eaters people. Okay, let's go through the Gorillaz bites.
Yeah, let's do it. What one did we start with? Fight of Death, which was
Game of Death.
Game of Death. Yeah, Game of Death, where that's kind of Noodle dressed up as
Bruce Lee from the movie Game of Death. His jumpsuit.
She fights Russell, who's dressed in an afro and sunglasses and a kind of sports jersey.
I kind of thought maybe he was dressed like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in Game of Death, but he's not really. Kareem had like a more traditional karate gi going on in that movie.
Right, and he does a kind of sumo thing while Noodle's doing a karate thing, yelling like chop chop, kick, jab.
I want to say you can see Haruka Kuroda doing some voiceover for this bite in Bananas, I want to say.
Oh, I guess we'll find out when
we'll find out.
We'll find out. Yeah.
Then we see 2D and Murdoch on the couch. 2D's wearing his Hello Kinky shirt, which is a great shirt.
Almost as good as the I would put this as number 3 for 2D's wardrobe behind the T-Virus shirt and Shoot to Ill.
Hello Kinky's a pretty strong one.
Yeah.
I don't love the Gorillaz bites.
You know what immediately jumped out about them to me? These are really like better animated than a lot of the future Gorillaz music videos.
I think they all look beautiful. I just think the scripts weren't there. Like it feels like they really charged forward with kind of half-baked ideas to me.
And can you imagine if the budget that went into making these like pointless little videos had gone into the music videos instead?
Yeah, oh my gosh,
like,
right?
What could have been, like, these are incredible looking little shorts. Like, there's a lot of panoramas.
But to speak of half-baked, so, like, the synopsis of this is that Noodle and Russell fight, and then it turns out to be this video game that 2D and Murdoch are playing. But it's very weirdly staged. Like, 2D and Murdoch are in this white void on a couch, and then, like, when it cuts from behind them, where you should see them, like, watching the game on a TV, they're just kind of looking at the set of the Game of Death fight. So it's very confusing exactly what this bite is trying to communicate. Like, I don't exactly understand it.
It's absurdist humor.
Yeah, I guess so. My controller's broken. I don't know. It just doesn't land.
Yeah. What else do we have?
The eel. The eel is next.
The eel's my favorite.
Let me give you a synopsis. Can I tell you a synopsis?
Go ahead.
Okay. Russell has asked 2D to knock out an eel because he wants to cook it, but 2D is having trouble hitting it with a mallet because it's slippery. Murdoch is annoyed by the sound, so he takes the eel and melts its face on the range, killing it. Then Russell shows up and is mad that the eel is dead for reasons that are very, very unclear.
That was 2D's job.
Where my eel? He wants to cook the eel. What does he care? It's so confusing.
Well, he's not really mad that the eel's dead, right? He's mad that he doesn't have the eel. He's mad that it hasn't... I think it makes sense.
Where my eel at?
Where my eel? Where my eel?
Stop it banging.
Do you think this is in any way related to Grilling with His Face, the super deluxe bonus track we haven't gotten
yet?
You
think we're gonna hear like an EDM beat and then like a weird auto-tuned Stop It Banging or something?
It's possible, yeah. Samples, Phase 1 samples.
I do like 2D's minimalist Swell Maps t-shirt. that he wears.
That reminds me of cool tapes from Homestar Runner.
Next is the Free Tibet campaign.
Yep, that one's pretty uneventful.
Nothing really happens. The barely animated 2D sits in silent protest
I think he
against the
blinks once,
occupation
right?
of the Tibet by the Chinese government. What's that?
Yeah, I think he blinks once, right?
He blinks a couple of times.
Do you want to get incredibly political right now and describe what side of the Free Tibet argument you come down on?
I mean, I absolutely support Tibetan autonomy from the Chinese government. Absolutely.
Okay.
I think that that there's an inability for the Chinese government to make big sweeping decisions because they're constantly in fear of a people's revolution. So if they ever show anything approaching instability, the fear is that the people will rise up and there'll be millions dead by the end of it.
I was hoping you would say no, and it would have been a funny bit, but that's cool too.
Well, sorry, buddy. This is kind of like early signs, though, of Gorillaz being used as a mouthpiece or a platform for some political maneuvering.
Yeah, definitely.
Up next is Jump the Gut.
Jump the Gut, which is fun. We talked about that a little bit.
I think this one's my favorite just because I love the animation. Like, I love...
It's beautifully animated. That panorama when 2D is stuck in midair, that's really
incredible.
Cool looking.
Yeah, totally hand-rendered. I love Noodle's weird character model. Like, she looks very cartoony in this, and I really like it.
Yeah.
And then next is, hey, our toys have arrived.
Which is another one that's kind of pointless.
Yeah, so they're looking at their action figures. They're feeling weird about it. 2D doesn't like that his head bobbles. And then Russell shows him that his head does bobble.
Yeah, it kind of strangles him.
It does have that one great shot of, like, all the random items that are flying out of 2D's, I don't know, hair, mouth, pockets.
Yeah.
As he's being shook, and, like, Noodle just smiling like a weird idiot.
Yeah, the band delighting in this abuse of 2D.
Yeah, they're all for it. Do you think that if real Noodle and Russell had been around for Plastic Beach, they would have been laughing and smiling as Murdoch tortured 2D with electricity?
It's a good question.
Is that it? Is that all?
I think that might be it for the G-Bytes. But man, Jamie would never, I feel like he would never play as big a role in the Gorillaz production as he did here again. Like,
wait. I had one more thing to say about the Hey Our Toys Have Arrived Gorilla Bite. So when you're in the bathroom, Trevor, and you click on the little action figures to play that bite, Russell's shirt says Hoop Hop, like it does in the bite. But because of the low quality of the DVD rip, I thought that it said Boop Hop. And I thought that was a fun sound.
Let's get to Slowboat to Hades.
Okay. Yeah, a lot more money went into this, Trevor.
Yeah, this one's really cool.
So I do love the rendering of everything, and I love how much detail there is. I just feel like it looks soupy. It looks so grainy and so blurry that, like, picking out little things is frustrating to me. And it's so dark, because of the way Kong is being portrayed, that I've just felt like there's more straining on the eyes to look at than the first DVD was to me.
I just love that they chose to destroy Kong. I think it's just another good example of them not being afraid to change the Gorillaz aesthetic with each stage, and I just think it's really cool. I love that little shot of the demon sitting behind the desk. That really kind of makes you feel like, oh, this is a different space than I was in last time. Yeah,
and I mean, like, often you're seeing out into the out of doors because whole walls and floors have been ripped out of the guts.
That's so cool. I mean, it was especially cool watching one DVD immediately following the other.
You start out in the lobby, Groove Bones is back, you can watch the music videos, and I think this time you can also watch their animatics from Groove Bones, if I remember correctly. This time you get around, instead of clickable faces of all the rooms, you have like a little isometric 3D rendering of like a map of Kong.
Right, and you also have a quick layout of pretty much everything you can do in one easy menu. And I don't know about you, but watching whoever was recording the YouTube video that I ended up watching this on, watching them go through like nearly 30 items, my stomach just sunk. I was like, okay.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal. So the first location we go to is the outside of Kong Studios. It's got the rocket visual, it's got the Feel Good Inc. video and animatic, and it's got a little, I wouldn't call it a Gorillaz bite, but for the purpose of this episode, let's call it a Gorillaz bite, called On the Island, Trevor. So, like, as that one with the Winnebago from the 19-2000 shoot was to the 19-2000 video, so this is to the Feel Good Inc. video. So, like,
yes, yeah.
You've got the band hanging out on Windmill Island, Murdoch is complaining, and then a bird shits in his eye. not too much to mention other than
Nope.
if you're a fan of shirtless Murdoch in 2D, this is
And who isn't?
a feast for the eyes. A feast.
Who isn't?
And then it's also got the Samba at 13 visual.
Essential.
It's just that little swooping shot of Kong from the Dare video, but like psychedelic colors have been added. And then the box office.
Right. And here's where you can see a bunch of kind of cool little commercials and a few live performances.
Yeah, so you got the Dirty Harry live at the Brits, which is the kids chorus and the CG renders of the band on the screens, and it's got the Feel Good Inc. live at the MTV EMAs performance, which is the hallowed Gorillaz holograms, which apparently were very disappointing to be in the room for because they could barely play the audio at any volume.
Also kind of disappointing to watch on screen. I mean, this is one of the more tepid Gorillaz performances, right?
Yeah, because they're playing a pre-recorded track, obviously, which isn't helpful. And then you can feel the dead energy in the room just because the music has to be played so low. And then on top of that, you've just got not that interesting of an animated routine that the band is doing.
Yeah.
I mean, am I wrong?
2D stops to check his phone.
They went for boredom, maybe because it was cheaper to animate, but it doesn't read as very exciting.
No, not at all.
There's actually, this animation is used elsewhere on this DVD in a version that I much prefer watching, but we'll get to that when we get to that.
Sure.
Then we got El Manana live in Harlem. You went to a Harlem show, didn't you?
I did, yeah, and still my favorite incarnation of the Gorillaz live band by far.
This version's kind of weird, though, because it's like 50-50 split between the actual live performance and just the El Manana video, which is kind of pointless. I mean, the El Manana video is elsewhere on this DVD, so...
Yeah, I just don't need it here. They also have November Has Come in Harlem, I think.
And then there's a commercial for Demon Days Live, and then there's something called Monk's Montage, which is like an edit piece of like Phase 1 stuff that's been cut to left-hand Suzuki method. Not much to say about that either.
Yeah. I do like the commercials for the Manchester DVD and Demon Days album that they threw in, just in that like really ridiculous Cockney voice.
Narrated by this
that ends with it just ends with him going, "What's wrong with you?" or "What's the matter with you?" or something.
or he goes like, "Man, it's not good enough," or something like that. Then we go to the studio.
Yeah,
and we meet my favorite tertiary Gorillaz character, Polar Bear and Crocodile.
I hated them.
Oh, I love them.
Loved them. This was the nadir of my Gorillaz research experience.
I loved them on the Phase 2 Kong website. I love them on the DVD. I believe that one of them, I think the Polar Bear is voiced by Cass Brown, I think.
Huh.
But my favorite one, of course, is when he goes, I woke up on this couch the other day and Lenny Kravitz has had his balls right in my face. And then the crocodile goes, "That's what I'm talking about."
How about that one? How about that one transphobic joke about that one member of Girls Aloud having a dick?
Love it, making fun of guys who look like ladies who look like guys. It's still funny in 2017. I support it. No, not great.
And then there's the one where he's like, "I just crapped myself."
Yeah, and then he goes, "Ugh," and then there's his Speedo always falls off, and you see his little penis.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's what I'm talking about.
I love them. They're my buddies.
Where are we going next?
I don't know, but when the camera zooms into the fridge and you see Sean Ryder's head, I got a genuine jump scare. I was like,
it's a nice touch.
Fuck Sean Ryder. I was really scared about it.
There's actually like some legitimately creepy stuff on these DVDs. I gotta hand it to them.
Yeah, they have good atmosphere like a motherfucker, as they say. Dare and the animatic are in this room, and then there's a clip of Noodle talking about Dare and the Dare video, and like instructing you on how to do her dance moves.
I must have missed this.
No, it's in there, and I don't know what it's from. It's not from Dury. It's not from We Are the Dury. It's something else. But this brings up a point. So throughout this DVD, Noodle's grasp of the English language seems to vacillate wildly.
Yes.
Like, sometimes it seems like she's reading phonetic English off of a cue card, and sometimes she's speaking quite eloquently about this English language album that she has apparently written by herself.
Right, because there's some pretty proficient English on her part in like the Feel Good Inc. Commentary, I think.
Yeah, but then sometimes she's like, "Thank you, gudo bio." It's like very weird. It's very weird.
Gorillaz band, and it's like, ugh.
It's kind of weird. But it is good to hear Haruka Kuroda. I don't know what's up with her. Is she I know she took some time off to be a mom. I don't know. Maybe I think she's out of the project now, but I'd love to have her back. She can come back and play Noodle, right?
Come on the show.
Oh, yeah, she should for sure come on Hallelujah.
Come on the show.
You got the Bill Murray visual, which is a waveform of Bill Murray that slowly changes colors. Very exciting.
Thrilling.
And the live video, or the live visual for Kids with Guns is also here. And the People visual, which is a bunch of circa 2005 cell phones in space with a bunch of Terry Gilliam zombie faces chattering on them.
Again, incredibly compelling.
Yeah, one of the finest videos ever produced by the band. Winnebago? Should we go to the Winnebago?
Sure, let's check in on what Murdoch's been up to in that old Winnebago of his.
I like his bear rug with the glowing red eyes. That's my favorite detail. This is a much nicer shot of the Winnebago, in my opinion. And
I believe this is where we can watch Gorillaz MTV Cribs appearance.
Wow,
right?
This was so different than I remembered. Yeah, there was much more elaborate animation in it than I remembered. I kind of remembered it just being like cut out Murdoch faces with barely moving mouths or something. The animation isn't the most fluid, but it's pretty elaborate. Like a lot of full walking animations and they definitely made Murdoch come alive in this little episode.
This isn't my absolute favorite thing on the DVD. We'll talk about that later. But I think this is the one really, really good find on Slowboat to Hades.
Yeah, I agree. Phil Cornwell doing some great grunting and stuttering.
This is me cutting an onion.
Some of you guys are probably way too fucking young to remember MTV Cribs. Like, that's a reality we're dealing with, Trevor, as being relatively old by Gorillaz fan standards.
Right.
But, it was just exactly what you probably have osmosed from the culture that it was, which is opulent mansions from an era in which the record industry had money.
Well, there's that good 30-second segment where Murdoch talks about all the episodes he's seen and just says that every one is just like some vapid celebrity over and over again talking about like how they immediately buy cars and giant houses they can't afford, while pissing wildly.
Murdoch either has the healthiest or least healthy prostate in the human race. Like,
I love that by the end he's just pissing over the side of the stall
into the toilet in the next stall.
Really impressive.
That's a great parlor trick. I have a memory, Trevor, a very vivid memory of watching the Lil Bow Wow episode of Cribs. I believe he was 11 at the time, and he showed off the cars that he had already bought but could not drive yet.
What's he doing now? Lil Bow Wow, come on the show.
Come on the show, Lil Bow Wow.
Come on the show.
I like a lot of stuff in this. I love when he's in the Winnebago showing you all the celebrities that he's fucked. And
yeah, I've had her. I've had her too. Had her. Wish I didn't.
He goes through Angelina Jolie, Cameron Diaz, and the one that he had and wished that he hadn't was Courtney Love.
Yeah, what does the cameraman see on his computer that forces him to throw him out of the Winnebago?
You know what? I missed it and was like, I should jump back and look at it. But I was like, I've been watching this for hours.
And there's still a lot to go.
There's so much more to go.
So what's next?
The Murdoch is God visual.
What's next?
It's an upside down white cross over a black background that pulses in time with the music.
What's your favorite? What's your favorite of the B-side visuals?
I hate to say it, but it might be the People one.
Really?
It might.
I think the Spitting Out the Demons one is pretty cool.
Yeah, but it's not as dynamic. The People one kind of goes from one place to another. I don't know.
I guess.
Also, we get Murdoch's alternative to the Queen's speech, where he gives the Queen's Christmas Day speech.
Takes some shots at James Blunt and Harry Potter.
Yeah, I'd forgotten that James Blunt existed until he said his name.
Gorillaz were not a fan of him, though. I feel like this was only one of the several shots they fired at him.
Yeah, they were like Pete Doherty also took a few on the chin in Phase 2, if I remember.
Yeah,
but this is the grand debut on this DVD anyway of the Murdoch Nichols puppet,
which I love.
It's a great puppet. I think it's a great puppet. I love
the puppets. I honestly prefer these to the motion capture things they're doing these days. Like, I mean, they're both good, but the puppets. I like the motion capture
just because of the elaborate kinds of things you can do with it. You know what I mean?
Of course.
But I like the Murdoch puppet. The 2D puppet, we'll get to him in a minute.
Looks very ugly.
Murdoch gives a funny little Christmas Day speech. He recaps 2005. Apparently, I researched this a little bit, Trevor. This you could have accessed with your mobile phone through a service called 3.
Who knows what was going on like 2005 with technology?
Yeah, I don't know. But I do love his sign off, which is so have a very Merry Christmas and remember, Hail Satan.
And then he does the little thing with his hand. That's cool. Tootie's room.
Boy, that animation from the Brits version of Dirty Harry, like the version that you see in this where it's just the animation, that lip sync is rough, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like it starts right on Tootie's mouth trying to sing I Need a Gun, and it's like bye 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 bye. It looks real bad.
What else is in here though? Is this where we find the 2D bumper cars ident?
Yeah, where he's riding on a back of a bumper car and says, I love when these idents are so weird because they won't specifically say what video they're introducing.
No, so they could use them for whatever.
It's like, here comes a brand new Gorillaz video.
I can so imagine seeing one of these on MTV, by the way. I probably did at one point.
Probably,
like before,
right?
like the Feel Good Inc. one. This one also, though, just makes Yudi look like a huge douche.
Yeah, I agree. Although he gets run over by a bumper car at the end, which is funny.
It's a nice moment, yeah.
It's got the El Mañana video and animatic. There's not that much in 2D's room. That's all there is.
No, there isn't really. So yeah, that
The next room is called the radio room. It's not Noodle's room.
Okay.
I barely remember this room in the Phase 2 Kong website. Like
I think they added it after the El Mañana video, maybe?
Maybe that's true, yeah.
Because this one has the transmission of her SOS signal.
It does, and it has the Lost Gorillaz bite, fancy dress.
Right.
This is Murdoch dressed up as a Nazi for a photo shoot, and Russell admonishes him for doing that.
Foreshadowing their partnership with Red Bull. Hell Gorillaz.
Yep. What are they dressed as? I believe 2D is dressed as a mummy, Russell is dressed as Oliver Hardy, and Noodle has some kind of
Western sheriff outfit on or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. I can see why they held this one back. It's not that great, right?
I like when Russell calls Murdoch a cracker ass.
But the closing line is kind of weak sauce. Why didn't anyone tell me it was crap? That's like, I don't know. Right?
Very, yeah.
And then we see the capsule hotel ident, which is Noodle. You can hear the Don't Get Lost in Heaven demo in behind her.
Right, I did not know that. That's very interesting.
This is where she refers to being the guitar player with Gorillaz Bando.
Is it racist?
Is it?
It feels racist.
Is it racist, A, that her name is Noodle?
Yeah. Yeah.
It feels weird, though, that like sometimes she's like doing a full-on Japanese minstrel performance, and sometimes she's like speaking like somebody who commands English as a second language with a lot of skill. And
maybe she's just good at code switching, you know? Maybe like when she's on these radio shows to talk about Demon Days, she's like, oh, I actually want to talk about this. But if they put her in front of a camera and go like, hey, do this little thing for this little bumper for MTV or Fuse or something. She goes, okay, I'm going to pretend like I can't speak English, so it'll just be out and done.
Do you remember that Dave Chappelle bit from Killing Me Softly where he mentioned that every black American is bilingual because they speak job interview and street?
That's what I'm talking about.
Is there
That's
a similar?
what I'm talking about.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's
is that
what
what's
I'm
going on
talking
here? Is
about.
there a Japanese equivalent where you really ham it up for your boys, but then if somebody's putting a microphone in your face, you kind of and you button down?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Possibly.
Let us two white American dudes speculate on that. I think she might be playing Tetris on her Game Boy, by the way. I couldn't quite tell. I zoomed in. It looked like she might have been playing Tetris.
If you've zoomed in and actually can tell, tweet at us.
Yeah, sure. I forgot that I mentioned this and look at your tweet for a good 2 minutes wondering what it means.
So what's next?
The hellhole is next.
Right, the hellhole, which I think was probably the most disappointing part of the Phase 2 website.
I agree. There's a piece of graffiti there that says fire coming out of the monkey's head.
And on the website, this area had a countdown, right?
It did. And you get to see the end result of that countdown through a little Easter egg.
Yeah.
Where it just Murdoch rises out of the hole and then says, give me your soul. Is that it?
Yep. And a lot of Gorillaz fans I know were looking for something more significant to happen at the end of that countdown, I'm pretty sure.
Like a video release or a new B-side or something.
Something, yeah. The closure to whatever happened in the El Mañana video, I can't remember.
Okay, so there's the spitting out the demons visual, which you mentioned, with the windmill and the red and the black and the graveyard.
It looks cool.
It does, but let's talk about Murdoch's Motorola commercial.
Right, which is the most horrifying thing the Gorillaz project has ever produced.
Like, Motorola could not have been happy with this.
No.
There's no way that they were happy with the money, what they got for the money they paid Jamie Hewlett to give them this.
At some point, the dude who financed the Motorola commercial saw it, and I just wish I could have been there.
Me too. So it's like Murdoch is on this short looping animation. He's rendered nude other than a thong. He's let me coin a term.
And a hat. He's wearing a hat.
Let me coin a term. He's a bethonged Murdoch.
Okay.
And he's got his little sort of Nazi captain hat. And he's playing what looks like a baby grand piano, but calliope music is coming out of it.
You think that's a Damon Albarn original?
Maybe. Probably not. It seems like it would be in some kind of a sound library or something like that. Doing this short looping animation, and then the phone that he has tucked in his thong strap begins to ring. Okay? Are you with me so far?
And he goes, Motorola.
Look, I can't talk now.
I'm naked.
And then he just goes right back to that looping animation again.
This is the most grotesque a member of the band has ever looked, in my opinion. Over
really
the four
horrifying.
phases. Like, I know they look weird on the Humans covers. This is the most unappealing they've ever made a band member look.
Why does this exist? I would love to know what Motorola thought. They must have been furious.
Motorola CEO, come on the show.
Talk about this moment. Talk about this.
Yeah.
Are you still the CEO, or did the shareholders vote you out after you okayed this advertisement?
It's a likely outcome.
Then you got the puppet intro from Demon Days in Harlem.
Love it. I saw this live.
Yeah, you get Murdoch tells that funny story about going through customs.
And the Murdoch puppet got his dick sucked or something?
Yeah, he like feigns an orgasm. It's kind of hard to listen to. Like the recording is weirdly echoey.
This is, I think, some of the best Murdoch voice acting, though. Like, I like when he goes, well, and then he goes into a story real quick about how he got through.
He does like a little bit of a fourth wall breaking as well, where he like refers to an actor who's doing his voice in the studio, and
and it's pre-recorded. Yeah, that's very funny.
To coin another term, Deadpool style.
I may be a puppet, but I'm also a millionaire rock star puppet.
Yeah, I like it. And then comes this weird little Q&A for the Webbies.
This is my favorite part of the
This
DVD.
was such a joy. And as soon as I saw this come up on the... This is also my favorite part of this DVD. As soon as I was like, a Q&A with Murdoch and 2D for the Webbies, I'm like, oh my God, this is going to suck. Like... First of all, do the Webbies still exist, Trevor?
I don't even know what the Webbies are. I think. I guess this was an award they won for their website.
This was well, yeah, they probably won for the website. But Trevor, the Webbies were, or maybe are, the Academy Award of Web 1.0 content. So, like, do you remember the old Flash animations, like frog in a blender? Or hamster in a microwave or whatever.
Like Newgrounds.com
yes,
kind of stuff?
That kind of shit would win Webbies. And nobody would be there in person. They would all like record themselves on their shitty webcam with the award that had been mailed to them weeks prior going, hey, thank you. This means so much to me. I really appreciate it. And like you could watch it like streaming in like 24 kilobyte form on real player video.
Mid-2000s.
Mid-2000s internet.
But this is, like you said, a joy. It's so much fun. What's your favorite part? Let's talk about our favorite parts.
Okay, my favorite part is when the topic of Prince comes up.
His right hand is bigger than his left.
Well, now the delivery, Trevor, I believe, is his right hand is bigger than his left.
I think my favorite part would have to be the little joke they stumble into about Murdoch and 2D going to Newfoundland and opening a shop that sells swan-shaped scones,
and they totally break character. Like that just becomes.
They must have come up with that on the spot, right?
Yeah, because that just becomes Phil Cornwell and Nelson DeFreitas like laughing like crazy.
It's so good. That's another fanfic that needs to happen. By the way, I did want to mention last week I put out a call for somebody to write a fanfic about Gorillaz stealing the plastic beach tapes from Damon Albarn's studio. We got a lovely submission by a member of the Gorillaz fandom.
I'm so glad you got to take a look at that. It's so great.
It's so good. They did such a good job. I loved reading this.
We could not have asked for a better job.
I believe their Tumblr URL is identification, except it's spelled EYE identification, like
yes.
identification. That's their Tumblr, and their fanfiction.net.
It's also identification.
Yes.
And it's up there on fanfiction.net as stylo fic request. I so recommend you go read it. It's so much fun.
It is so good. Thank you so much for sending that in. We love receiving stuff like that. And yeah, if anybody wants to write a fanfic about 2D and Murdoch settling in Canada and opening up a swan scone shop, that's
really strong,
something else I would
really strong
love
in character writing, in my opinion. Like
yeah,
everything feels really on brand. You know what I mean? My favorite one is when one of the questions asked is, why are these awards important? And then
Murdoch just leans in and goes, they aren't.
Yeah, I agree with you. This is the best part.
Really good.
Less impressive was Murdoch thanking EMI. It's like this weird little video of him in front of the Demon Days stained glass window, and he's being very earnest. Like, you guys do so much for us artists. We just thank you so much. All of you corporate guys who look out for us. Like, really weird. I think it must have been played at like an EMI shareholders end of year banquet or something.
Possibly.
But it feels like there's no punch behind it. You know, like you would expect Murdoch to be like, we know you're all devil worshippers who drink virgin blood or whatever like that. There's nothing like that, you know. It's just like
it's not very tongue in cheek. It's just very straight.
Russell's room.
Yeah, would they stick in here this time?
There's an obnoxious commercial for a texting service that will give you Gorillaz ringtones. It's so bad.
What the fuck was this? The mid-2000s were such a weird kind of almost prehistoric time by today's standards.
In 2006, I spent about 6 months in London doing an internship, and like after 10 o'clock, this was every commercial. It was some guy yelling at you, text this to this and get this new great deal right now, and it's just so annoying, so bad.
Did you ever do it? Were you one of the few? Were you one of the many people, I'm sure, walking around London with DR as their ringtone and the little noodle dance animatic on their phone?
No, I don't think I was.
On your mobile? On your mobile?
You know what I do like, though, is we kind of took a shit earlier on the VMA hologram animations, but the version in Russell's room is kind of sick, because it's like they've separated each band member out so they're all over like a black void, right? And it's the version of the song that's like the mashup of Hung Up by Madonna and Feel Good Inc.
Can we talk about that? Because that's a really, really weird thing that happened.
I love it. I love that mashup. It's dope.
Like, Gorillaz opened up the Grammys with Madonna.
No, wasn't it the VMAs? I thought it was the VMAs.
I thought they opened the VMAs by themselves.
No, the EMAs, the European Music Awards, were by themselves. I thought the VMAs were with, well, whatever.
I think it was the Grammys.
But ultimately, it doesn't matter, and someday we'll all die. But this is great. I love Madonna. She's also there, arranged just like one of the holograms in her own little black void.
Yo, Dylan, Gorillaz opened the Grammys with Madonna.
Is that true? Did you look it up?
I just looked it up. The 2006 Grammys. Gorillaz opened the Grammys with Madonna. That's a
crazy
thing that happened.
That's crazy. This is a better version of this, I think, than actually watching it live. Like,
sure,
the energy of this in a more contained little box feels better than what it looked like on the stage, in my opinion.
It definitely wasn't enjoyable up there.
No. I like the interplay between Madonna and the band, how she kind of flirts with Murdoch. That's fun.
Well, she's a hologram as well during that part, right?
I think so. I can't quite remember how that was handled.
She's a hologram up until Hung Up starts in earnest. And she stands behind Murdoch at one point. You see them cross paths, which is, supposed to look super impressive because it's like a real person in a hologram. But no, they were both holograms.
Both holograms. That makes sense.
Yeah. It's a good hologram, Madonna.
Then we've got Russell introducing a non-specific new Gorillaz video from atop a giant stack of computer machinery and things.
Right.
And then there's a trailer for the GES games. I barely remember this being a thing, Trevor.
I don't remember what you're talking about.
So apparently on Kong Studios Phase 2, there were like NES-style playable mini-games.
Oh, yeah, these.
And each band member had one, the Gorillaz Entertainment System instead of Nintendo Entertainment System. So there's like a version of Breakout where Murdoch uses his crotch to bounce the ball, and then there's like a game where Russell eats cookies, and
there's one where Noodle kicks the gorilla.
And then there's one where 2D like hits a punching bag or something. Barely remember these. I barely remember these.
Hours of entertainment.
And then there's a couple of little bonus hidden things at the end of all of this, Trevor.
Right. What do we got for those little Easter eggs?
So if you visit every room at least once, you unlock the Happy Landfill visual, which is astonishing, Trevor. It's a rapid fire edit of a bunch of Phase 2 artwork while Happy Landfill plays in the background.
Very cool.
And then there's hidden clickables. You get to see Murdoch come out of the hellhole, like we mentioned before.
I want your soul, or give me your soul, or whatever he says.
Yeah, I want your souls. I don't know exactly what he says. Then Murdoch and Noodle show up on a communist submarine. Then Murdoch's in a Mexican prison, and he introduces a new kick-ass Gorillaz video. And then somebody's
Before getting some, like, fingers shoved up his butt or something?
Yeah, like a cavity search or something like that. There's bloopers of the Murdoch puppet. Visual for the swagga is there.
Yep.
And there's a Kong Studios tour where there's no Mel 9000 this time, just a little click-through of the, much shorter click-through of the Phase 2 Kong Studios website, set to highway under construction for like a double dose of nostalgia.
Is this also where you find the band's commentary on Feel Good Inc.?
Yes.
That's pretty cool. That's worth checking out, I think. I loved that.
I wish that they would do band commentary for every Gorillaz video. That would be awesome.
I would buy a DVD of that, probably.
For sure. It wouldn't even need an interactive Kong Studios. In fact, I'd prefer it not. Just put the videos on there with commentary tracks, and I'm happy. I'll pay $29.99 for it.
I like when Russell says, the guys who made this video must have been really good because I can't tell which parts are animated and which parts are real.
That's a great line. We did it, Trevor. We made it to the end of these fucking DVDs.
Do you think anybody's still listening?
God bless you. Ooh, let's come up with a secret hashtag for them to tweet at us if they made it all the way to this part.
Hashtag don't flatter yourself, Tony.
If you made it all the way to the end of this episode, give me a hashtag don't flatter yourself, Tony, at Gorillaz Fancast. And here's what we'll do. Right now, we only follow Gorillaz collaborators, but I figured out how to put them in a list so I can look at that feed whenever I want to. If you reply us with hashtag don't flatter yourself, Tony, I will follow you back.
We should say that's a little joke from the Gorillaz Puppet Webby Awards interview.
That's right, yeah. Don't flatter yourself, Tony. Is from
Don't
the,
flatter
from the
yourself, Tony.
So whatever, Trevor. These are whatever.
Yeah.
They were much cooler in 2002 and 2006. In 2017, maybe not so much. Still
worth checking out a lot of this stuff here. I know we were a little negative this episode, but I enjoyed watching a lot of this stuff. It was fun. I had a fun time.
Worth coming back next week, too, because next week we're going to be talking about the interview tapes, the Apex tapes, and We Are the Jury, and I think we're both pretty excited about that.
That'll be fun. Until then, have you come up with another attempt at a sign-off line?
No, I've been shell-shocked all week. I've looked deep into myself, and I found nothing.
Guess we'll see you next week, then.
Okay.
You're sure? Okay.
Okay.
Don't flatter yourself, Tony. You're not that great.
Oh, Frank was better.
Frank was better, huh?
Okay.
Oh, Frank was better, huh?
Oh, Frank, come here, give me a kiss.
Come here.
Give me a kiss.